Jim Dolan, founder and CEO of the Dolan Company, thank you so much for joining me here. And I'm so appreciative that you were in the book, How They Did It, $1 Billion Insights from the Heart of America. You're one of our Minneapolis anchors in the book. And, you know, we got such a great reaction to you being interviewed in the book.
Thank you, Bob.
That I really appreciate it. We just had to drill in just a little bit more on some of these things because it was just such a riot. You know, I had to ask you a little bit more about the firecracker story because, you know, you told this wonderful story in the book. You know, as a kid, figuring out you had firecrackers. First you enjoyed them for yourself, cost you a quarter. You had some leftovers, and in the winter, a friend said, I'll give you $1 for one, and the entrepreneurial light bulb went off from that. Do you think that there is some lesson here? Could you spot an entrepreneur if you just ask, what did you do as a kid?
I suppose so, because I know a number of people in my situation today look back and say, gee, I was doing these things when I was a kid, but nobody paid any attention. It's true of me. I mean, I had a number of things. I had a crafts business that I sold until my sisters ran out of steam as a sales force.
Sisters are not reliable.
No, they're not. I had a lawn mowing business that actually got busted because using football players as free labor turns out to be wrong in the eyes of some coaches. But I was trying things all the time, and I know a number of other people in a situation I'm in now where you've started a company and it's working for you, can look back and say, gee, I was doing things like that for a long time. Who would have paid attention? I suppose parents could have paid attention. The school might have paid attention. I think an organized program would not have worked for me. I would never have joined an entrepreneur school.
Because you wouldn't have wanted to fit in. I just find it such an interesting common denominator that, you know, for example, Eric Lefkofsky, the co-founder of Groupon, he sold rugs when he was at the University of Michigan. And Howard Tullman was a magician putting on performances when he was a kid. And I just wonder if there is something here to give us some hope for the real next generation of entrepreneurs, to see those kids out there that are still doing things like that.
The challenge is you're trying to organize something that is, entrepreneurially speaking, not organizable. Entrepreneurs are resistant to organizing.
Herding cats.
It's very hard, exactly. Very hard to make that into an organized response to stimulate future entrepreneurial activities.
You could look at it if you had a bureaucratic organization and don't want that kind of activity to specifically be asking your applicants, what did you do as a kid? And you hear something too entrepreneurial, and you know they're not
exactly
right for you.
True. Future accountants of America maybe would screen out people that way, finding out if they did things the way we did them.
Yeah, you couldn't be too creative with that activity.
Right.
What kinds of new things are you up to now?
Well, I'm always growing our company in ways that, since we're public, I have to be careful in talking about them, but we have a number of new initiatives that are exciting to us that are building on what we've already got with the Dolan Company. So that's a never-ending quest for us, really. It's an exciting time. The economy is really in the tank, which means lots of problems, and every problem is a business opportunity. So we think it's a target-rich environment for us. We're very excited.
You said something, you graciously were on our panel, the Great Lakes Entrepreneur Bash, last fall. You were on a panel with Mark Tebbe. We were having a conversation that went over to the subject of exiting, and Mark had said that with his company at one point he knew his number. He knew what his number was, and you responded to that and you said, I don't have a number. How can you not have a number?
Well, I suppose it's, why are you doing this? If you're doing this to make a number, to reach a threshold so you can then do what you really want, good for you. I'm doing what I really want to do now. It's not about money for me. It's not about when I have this much in the bank or when I'm worth this much. That's not the goal for me. That's a byproduct. The goal for me is to take this company I'm doing now. This is the expression of all of my creativity and all of my efforts for 20 years now. Take this as far as I can take it. We're not nearly done. When I think I'm done, that's the time to sell. What's it worth then? I don't know. That's not really the driver. That's just a metric. So I know a lot of founders of companies, a lot of entrepreneurs say, I want to make X million dollars by the time I'm Y years old or something like that. Good for them. That's just not me.
It's also kind of a express way of saying that you may have different goals from your investors. Because for investors, there is always a time horizon. There's always an expectation of how, when, and at what amount you're getting out.
Right. Not may. I do have different goals. No question about that.
And you're just acknowledging that.
I acknowledge it to them in person every time we meet, and even in the very first pitch. I've always done that because they've got to know. They've got to know I'm in this for the long term. And they can come along for the ride for as many years as they want to be in. That's great. I'd love to have them. I know they need an exit before mine. So long as that's on the table and is very clear, that's fine. But I don't expect any of them to be in for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm 62. I hope it's a long life yet to come, but I don't really know. But the point is, most of them would say 10 years is a long investment for them. 5 years is really optimal for a lot of people. See, that's an eyelash of time for me. That's nothing at all. So I understand they come, they go, and that's fine. So long as we're true to our mission and we hit our benchmarks as far as performance, they're happy. And if our mission migrates over time, I'm happy because we need to change over time. The company we started out to be was a very good response to the market in 1990. We started in 92. And we've since migrated through a number of activities in the company. We will continue to do that because companies migrate. Companies don't stay the same. If they do, they die because the environment changes around you. So the company changes, the mission changes, our team largely stays the same, investors come and go. You have to understand the life cycles of all of these people in your business life. Investors inherently are relatively short term compared to those of us running the business, and that's fine.
You know, one of the stories that you told me about your national division and how you took a 100-year-old legal newspaper and essentially recreated a business out of an asset that had been accepted, overlooked completely. And it speaks to this quality of being curious, and you don't have a lot of cynicism about you. You have a lot of curiosity. Is that a key trait that company founders have to have?
I think a restless curiosity, but I think cynicism, I would not say that I'm not a cynic. I am a cynic. I've been cynical about a lot of things. This is based on experience. When you get hammered enough times, you realize that maybe there are certain things you shouldn't do or ways you should not approach things. So cynicism is an important part of it. You've got to have a filter, and that's what cynicism is. But I think optimism in the sense of understanding that there are opportunities all around you if you just listen to them and be open to them, but then understanding that it's hard to find a solution you can monetize. It's easy to find solutions, a solution you can monetize, you can make a profit in doing. It's really pretty hard. Not that many people succeed at doing that for the long term.
That's great. Jim, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.